In this example, we want to find a polynomial of degree 4, and they're going to give us a couple zeros here to work with. We have 1, 1, and 4 plus I. So let's go ahead and work with our factors. Since we know we have a degree 4 polynomial, that means we're going to have a total of 4 factors, so we can have 4 sets of parentheses. And let's go ahead and start filling in some of these. We know one of our zeros is a positive 1. Remember that it has to read x minus your 0 in your set of parentheses. So we're going to have an x minus 1. We have a second 0 of positive 1. So we'll get x minus 1 again. Right, and then we have a complex 0 of 4 plus I. When I go to write my complex zeros in my set of parentheses here, I'm actually going to use brackets instead, because it still has to read x minus your 0, only in this case you actually have multiple terms here with your 4 plus I. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 4 plus I inside a set of parentheses here. So I'll put the whole factor inside a set of brackets. And then remember that if you have a complex 0 in the form 4 plus I, then you also know that your last 0 here is going to be 4 minus I. So our fourth set of parentheses, or brackets, is going to be x minus my 0, which is 4 minus I. So there it is in factored form. And our question is going to want us to multiply this out or put it in expanded form. Now you have 4 factors here to work with. My suggestion is to go ahead and work in pairs. And when I go to multiply mine through, I'm going to go ahead and use the box method. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply these 2 sets of parentheses together first. And then I'll go ahead and work with my sets of brackets that have my complex zeros. So I'm going to get x minus 1 across the top, and I'll do another x minus 1 down the side. And remember that we're multiplying to fill in these boxes here, so we're going to get x squared. X times a negative 1 will be a negative 1x. And then for my bottom row, it'll be negative 1 times each thing that I see on top, so I'll get a negative 1x. And a positive 1. So when we go to combine like terms here, this is going to give us x squared minus 2x. Those are my like terms right there on the diagonal. And then plus 1. And now I'm going to go ahead and work with my factors that have the complex zeros in them. Now notice when I did this, I put these inside a set of parentheses here. I'm going to have to distribute this negative sign through each of these sets of parentheses first. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to give us x minus 4 minus I for this first set. And then we'll have x minus 4 plus I for my second set. And my suggestion here is when you're working with complex zeros, go ahead and take the 2 factors there and multiply these together. That's going to be a little bit easier as you're working through things. That way when you're done multiplying those out, you should not have any more i's in your answer for that piece. So that's kind of a nice way to check it if you actually work with both of those at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and do x minus 4 minus I across the top. And then I'll go ahead and put the other one down the side. So I've got x minus 4 plus I. And let's go ahead and fill in these boxes. When we distribute this through, we should have a total of 9 terms. Be careful when you're multiplying here. Right, we'll do everything times x for this first row. So we're going to get x squared minus 4x minus And it's up to you how you want to do this. You can go alphabetical, or you can put the I last. I'm going to go ahead and do the I last on this one, so I'll call this xi. And then I would suggest be consistent as you're going through. That's going to make it a little bit easier for you to combine like terms. So let's go ahead and do -4 times each of those pieces. We'll get a -4x, get a positive 16, and a positive 4i. And then for our last row here, we're going to multiply everything by that positive 1. So we're going to get a positive xi, a minus 4i. And then be careful here on this very last box. This is going to give us a negative I squared. Right, and now we can go ahead and combine our like terms. If you take a look at your boxes here, you'll notice that you have a positive 4i and a negative 4i. You can actually cross those out. Those are going to add up to be 0. You also have a positive xi and a negative xi. Those are going to add up to be 0. And then be careful with these x terms, right? These actually both have the same sign right here. They're not going to disappear. So let's go ahead and combine what we've got. We've got x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus I squared. And let's talk about this I squared piece. Right? You'll remember that I is actually the square root of -1. Okay, so when we're looking at I squared, this is the same thing as saying the square root of -1, the whole thing squared. Well, squaring a number and taking the square root, they're going to undo each other. So in place of this I squared, I can go ahead and replace it with a -1. Okay, so this is going to be the same thing as x squared minus 8x plus 16 minus a -1. Okay, be careful with your signs right there. And then we can go ahead and combine our like terms. It's going to give us x squared minus 8x plus 17. Okay, we're still not done because we still have to multiply these two sets of parentheses. Let me go ahead and bring this one down so we can see it. Right, we're going to have to multiply these two pieces together as our very last step. So one more round of multiplication here. I'll go ahead and set up my boxes. I've got my x squared minus 2x plus 1. Right, and you'll notice that when you were multiplying those two sets of brackets together on that last example there, when you were done, you had no more i's right here. In that trinomial, right? And that's kind of what you're looking for. So that tells you that you're on the right track. If you had an I still in there, you'd have to go back and check your work. Okay, I'll put my x squared minus 8x plus 17 down the side. We'll go ahead and fill in our boxes here. We've got everything times x squared. So x to the 4th minus 2x cubed plus x squared. For our second row here, we're going to do everything on top times the -x. Be careful with your signs. You've got -8x cubed, positive 16x squared, and a -8x. And then on our last one, we're multiplying by the 17, so we're going to get 17x squared minus 34x and plus 17. Right, you'll notice that your like terms are here on these diagonals, so we can go ahead and combine our like terms. So as a final answer here, we've got x to the 4th, we've got a -10 x cubed. When we go ahead and combine our x squared terms, this is going to give us a positive 34x squared minus 42x plus 17. So here's our final polynomial. We can do a little double check on it. All right, we're supposed to have a degree 4 polynomial, and we do. That's our highest exponent.